away from home. You know, at home I think we've had a fairly good record, but when we travel there's always been criticism. We go past the Watford gap and we're liable to lose 2 points. But I think the last few weeks we've battled, like last week at Preston we got a 0-0 draw, and I think since Phil's come into the team we've had 4 blank sheets out of 6.
Yes.
And certainly the defence are playing just as an important part as the forwards, and although we scored 5 today, their display at the back of no goals was just as important.
Promotion proved elusive for 2 successive seasons, but in 1980 Hammers fans had an FA Cup triumph to celebrate. A place in the semi-final secured by a Ray Stewart penalty.
Now Brooking with the West Ham corner. Hit high towards Alvin Martin. That looked like a handball and a penalty given. My impression was it was McNaught and Ray Stewart, the number 4. What a task he's got. He's given a penalty. My feeling was it was Ken McNaught, and there's no doubt about it that Ray Stewart, 10 goals this season, 8 of them from the penalty spot. Let's have a look now as that comes in. That was a handball by McNaught. And the man who's got to put it there for West Ham is Ray Stewart. I tell you, Jeff Flight's not looking for one. And neither is Alvin Martin, neither is Paul Brush. So we have some of the West Ham players not looking. It's Ray Stewart, and he scored! It's not a business of just congratulations, it's a business now of playing out the last seconds of the game. And Ray Stewart, the young Scot who's come down to West Ham this season and has had a terrific season for them, could well be the fellow who's put West Ham into the semi-finals.
So you looked up at the sky and you thought, well, now I've got to face maybe the most important moment in my career,
yeah,
I suppose.
If I scored it like I did, it was finished, and if I missed it, the game was finished.
Yes.
That's the way I looked at it, because I knew it was nearly time up.
The Hammers beat Everton in the semis, but in the final, Arsenal were red-hot favourites. After all, they'd won the Cup the previous year. They'd reached the final the year before that, and they were about to finish 4th in the First Division. But the Hammers had a surprise waiting for them at Wembley. Trevor Brooking scored the winning goal, and it was a header.
Sunderland. And now West Ham forward again with Brooking. A little flick there for Cross, and in fact it comes through to Pearson. And here's Devonshire. West Ham really carrying the fight now to the favourites Arsenal as Devonshire goes past Talbot. The cross there that Jennings couldn't get. Oh, and Cross almost got it in there, and Pearson has! Cross was involved there as well. Here's Devonshire with 13 minutes gone. Devonshire with the cross. Jennings couldn't reach that one. Cross had a bang at that one, and it comes out again to Pearson. And in fact, it went in off Brooking, I think. Pearson's shot coming in there, and in fact the header from Brooking. With 3 minutes now to go. Brooking again, played in here for Allen, and suddenly the gap has opened up for the 17-year-old. Paul Allen, oh, brought down by Willie Young, and a yellow card comes out for Young, when suddenly Paul Allen saw himself all the way through there. Well, the gap opened up for the youngster, and my word, how well he took it. And then there was that, followed by the yellow card. From Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Kent, the Hammers have done it again.
The whole team played well, and the fans were fantastic, and I think it's a great day for everyone. And I think most of all, we're looking forward to tomorrow when we go through the streets, and then it'll be fantastic.
To win a major cup like this, and we're still all quite young, you know, superb, yeah.
Well, Trevor was playing. I remember watching the game. I didn't realise how well Trevor played in that game until I watched the video of it months and months later. He worked so hard that day, and he was probably West Ham's best player. But it was a terrific team performance, and John obviously has to take a lot of credit for that as well.
So the Hammers were back in Europe. But troubled by fans in the first round in Spain, when the second leg tie against Castilla was played behind closed doors.
Now Pat Holland for West Ham. Looking to take on Casemiro, and he slipped in this time. Goddard in the middle. If Holland needs help, in the end sending it up for Pike. Cross and Martin, the two players on the far post, but Cross meets it! And West Ham go 2 in front from Trevor Brooking's free kick. David Cross, the scorer.
The atmosphere wasn't there, and I think that was a particularly good performance, you know, if you take that into consideration, because we've always relied on our crowd down the years, especially in night games, to create that special atmosphere, and that night we had to create it ourselves.
Brooking on the far post, Cross as well, and put in by Goddard.
I do remember at half-time, we were all getting a bit carried away, and because there wasn't anybody in the ground, you could hear all of the abuse that players were giving to each other, which possibly you don't hear when there's 25,000 in there. And at half-time, one of the officials came down from the director's box and asked if we could keep the noise down, the language down.
Bernal, and they were caught watching as Bernal came forward with a really marvellous goal for Castilla. Now Brooking, and now Stewart. Morgan again. There's been very few occasions where West Ham have got their first time passing going, but it's brought them a goal that could be the winner. David Cross. And Devonshire being allowed to run. And Cross gets the hat-trick with what must be the last touch of the game.
The Hammers went on to reach round 3, where they were finally beaten by the Soviet side Dinamo Tbilisi. But there was no stopping John Lyall's side in the League Cup. This win against Spurs earning a place in the semi-finals.
Now we get to the point where both sides will wind themselves up for a really big finish.
And here's Brooking. And Holland. And West Ham still can't get to it. Cross. Yes! Cross has put it in!
Martin off to Devonshire. All made space for the cross. Good one. Fine try. Bonds, and it's over the line, is it? Yes, the goal is given. I'm sure it is. Well played, Alan. Brooking. Devonshire. West Ham knocking it about with some degree of skill and conviction now. Devonshire going for this return ball. Oh, and Thompson's going to score an own goal, and it's 2-0.
I remember them coming back at us, and we were pretty disappointed not to have gone on and maybe got another couple of goals, but credit to them, they were a good side at the time. They had Haitley and Thompson up front, who were always going to cause problems. They had a good young side, and obviously got back in the game against us, and the game at Upton Park, we had it all to do all over again.
Well, it's a dream come true for Gary Thompson.
Cross. Goddard trying to turn. Oh, and it's there by Goddard.
And now it's Lampard. Cross trying to bore his way in there.
Neighbour with a chance. Jimmy Neighbour. And West Ham have won it in the last minute. Unless Coventry can do something absolutely outstanding.
So West Ham were in their second cup final in 9 months. This time against league champions Liverpool, and he went to a replay at Villa Park.
With almost 10 minutes gone. And he's gone past Alan Hansen. And he's got a couple of West Ham players waiting in the middle. The cross coming in. Oh, and it's there. Well, Goddard has put West Ham into the lead.
They had a good side. I think that was one of the best Liverpool sides I've ever played against. Dalglish was superb that night. It was a superb Liverpool performance, and you had to give credit to them. They had a young lad, I think, coming on in that game, Ian Rush as well, just getting into the side at the time. But they had so many good players, Liverpool, and that night, you know, I think any team in the world would have struggled to stay with them.
Jimmy Case with it. Curled in there once more towards Hansen. And the goal! It certainly was deflected after Hansen's header.
A valiant effort against a team of the 80s. Happily, Hammers fans were not to be denied their moments of glory in this season of high expectation at Upton Park. In the league, the Hammers were quite simply unstoppable.
Preston there, that's more like a cross! Oh, superb goal for West Ham! mistake there. Allen lining up the shot. Oh, terrific goal by Paul Allen. Lampard. Oh, a marvellous goal. Playing with a bit of style again now, West Ham. Flicked in there for Goddard. Back to Devonshire. Is it going to be? It is! Superb goal! Brilliant stuff by West Ham. Lampard hitting it straight at Steve Sims, but it might come across. And indeed it has. He's beaten Sims with that one. Cross now. Looking to Cohen. A beautiful goal!
That win at Watford came in the middle of a closing run of 18 unbeaten matches, including no less than 15 victories. A remarkable sequence to claim the Second Division Championship by a massive 13 points.
We had a really good quality side, and that was probably the most enjoyable spell that I've ever had, because we were going out into games expecting to win the games. We were a big fish in a little pond, and we were totally enjoying that status.
In their first season back in Division 1, the Hammers finished 9th. And for the second year running, top goal scorers that season were David Cross and Paul Goddard. 31 goals they shared between them, including this contribution.
Joe playing it in for Regis. Owen and Statham advancing on this one for West Brom. Little fall nonetheless for Van der Elst. His little flick finds Brooking. And Van der Elst has continued his run down the left. Brooking goes right to Billy Bonds. Now for Stewart. Played in again for Brooking. The cross coming in. Oh, and Goddard has scored! A terrible mix-up between Blue and Batson. And Goddard, who'd gone 13 games without scoring, gets a chance at last to break that particular sequence and put West Ham ahead with the simplest goal he'll ever score. Cross having a go there. And given! A goal given! A good decision.
4 months later, David Cross was on his way to Man City. Meanwhile, the Hammers' progress continued, and the following season came a 5-match winning run that culminated with this great win over Liverpool.
And Goddard outside him, and Clark coming in fast as well, and Clark has scored! 3-1.
It turned out to be quite a season for Francois Van der Elst. A thorn in the Hammers' side in the 76 European Cup winners' final, Van der Elst was now a darling of the fans. 12 goals that season made him joint top scorer with Paul Goddard, including this effort in a 2-1 defeat at Spurs.
A chance for the Belgian to put West Ham into the lead. 1-0. Francois Van der Elst.
Sadly, Van der Elst failed to settle in the East End, and he was soon on his way back to Belgium. But first he helped the Hammers claim a top 8 finish. This fight back against Watford, the start of a closing run of 7 wins in 10 matches.
Well, Van der Elst. 1-1. A mistake by Watford. And they are punished by the Belgian Van der Elst.
Earlier that season, Upton Park had witnessed the start of Tony Cottie's career. On New Year's Day, in front of 33,000 screaming fans, the 17-year-old youngster made a dream debut to spark a 3-0 win over Spurs.
That's the art of compromise. The referee got Pike to take the ball back, and the Wall to go back as well. Gallagher! And Cottee! 17 years old, and he scores his first goal in his first game for West Ham.
I was very tired after the goal because they couldn't catch me. After that, I settled down a little bit, but towards the end, I got cramp in both my legs. But I found it okay. It wasn't as fast as I was expecting it to be.
Yes. Have you always been a West Ham supporter?
Yeah, I was born in West Ham, so ever since I can remember, I've been a West Ham supporter.
The very next